I get it, you've probably spent an hour scrolling through glossy product pages, watching those sleek tower shots, and thinking this is the machine that will finally let me game at ultra settings while I edit 4K footage on the side. Then the box arrives, you hook it up, and the fans are screaming, the storage fills up faster than you expected, and the price tag feels like a gamble you didn't really understand. That frustration of buying a desktop that looks perfect on paper but falls short in the living room is why I'm breaking down the HP Envy desktop with the i9-13900KS and RTX 8GB today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the past few weeks digging through spec sheets, watching benchmark videos, and reading the handful of user comments that actually talk about real-world performance, so you can avoid that disappointment. First off, the Envy isn't trying to be a budget gaming box. It's positioned as a ready-to-go workstation that can double as a high-end rig for the most demanding titles. The 13th Gen Intel i9-13900KS is a beast. It can boost up to 6 GHz, which translates into blistering single-core speed that gamers love for title-specific bottlenecks, and massive multi-core headroom for tasks like 3D rendering or running a live stream while you play. In practice, I've seen it shave a second or two off load times in open-world games that are notorious for stuttering on mid-range CPUs. If you're the type who runs Adobe Premiere while streaming on Twitch, that extra headroom is noticeable. You won't see the dreaded frame drop warnings when the encoder needs more cycles. The 32GB of DDR5 RAM is another practical win. Most modern games sit comfortably under 16GB, but when you start stacking a browser with dozens of tabs, a Discord chat, a voiceover app, and a game that's already using a lot of memory, you can hit the ceiling fast. With 32GB, the Envy lets you keep those programs open without the system starting to swap to the SSD, which would otherwise cause microstutters. The 1TB NVMe SSD is fast enough that you'll barely hear the drive working, and it gives you enough room for a handful of large AAA titles plus a decent media library. For a creator who needs to juggle a 4K video project and a game install, that storage speed combo is a real time saver. Now, the graphics card. The RTX with 8GB of GDDR6 sits comfortably in the sweet spot for 1440p gaming at high refresh rates. In titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Horizon Forbidden West, you can hit 6070 frames per second with DLSS on, which is a smooth experience on a 144Hz monitor. The 8GB VRAM, however, starts to feel tight if you push into 4K territory or try to use the highest texture settings in memory-hungry games like Microsoft Flight Simulator. In those cases, you'll likely need to dial down a few settings to avoid texture poppin'. If you're a pure 4K gamer, you might want to look at a card with 12GB or more, but for most gamers who are comfortable at 1440p, the card is more than adequate. One of the subtle but practical strengths of this Envy is the connectivity suite. Realtek Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3 give you a stable wireless link, which matters if your gaming room isn't wired directly to the router. The inclusion of a USB-C 5 gigabits per second port is a nice surprise. It's perfect for plugging in a fast external SSD or a high refresh rate monitor that supports DisplayPort over USB-C, keeping your desk a little cleaner. Ethernet is still there for those who want the lowest latency, and there are enough USB-A ports for a mouse, keyboard, and a capture card without needing a hub. But every high-end desktop has trade-offs, and the Envy is no exception. The power draw of the i9-13900KS paired with the RTX can push 400 watts under load, which means you'll see a noticeable increase in your electricity bill if you game for several hours a night. The tower itself is on the larger side of HP's lineup, so you'll need a decent amount of floor space, and the cooling system, while effective, can be a bit louder than a custom water-cooled rig. If you're sensitive to noise while streaming or recording voiceovers, you may need to invest in some acoustic panels or accept the background hum. Also, while the internal layout is serviceable, the expansion slots are limited. You can't easily add a